Leatherman Super Tool 300. The infatuation and addiction to multi-tools is alive and well in the Nut and Fancy project, or TMP for short. Nut and Fancy here, bringing you this review, going down my talking points there in the background. I'll probably forget some stuff, maybe get a few details wrong. I'll do my best though, make it as expeditiously as possible for you potential buyers / collectors, aficionados of the MT heavy duty variety, baby. And that's what this is. Going right into our first talking point. Categorically, this is a heavy duty multi-tool. Why? It's over 10 ounces. Reference my multi-tool continuum video. You'll see right there an annotation talking about the philosophy, the balancing act the designers have to do, and the different categories I set forth when I do a multi-tool review. I'm digging this ST Super Tool 300. It is a cool multi-tool, has lots of features. You've already seen it, haven't you? When I talked about this one, also a heavy-duty multi-tool, or MT, Victorinox Swiss Tool RS, previously reviewed in the Nut and Fancy project. Oh yeah, that's a cool multi-tool. Both are HD, heavy-duty. Is this my first choice to carry on my belt, on my tactical vest, on my daily loadout EDC ROL carry? No, it's not. A little bit too heavy for me. Your mileage may vary. Lots of dudes do. It just depends on what you're doing. Really cool story on the Leatherman site I read about some dude, farmer guy that carries it, used a saw to saw off a horn of one of his cows. That's kind of cool. So he probably needs a full-size heavy-duty multi-tool in his daily activities as a farmer. Okay, taking care of livestock, repairing things, cutting wire. It's a great multi-purpose, versatile companion on your belt. So that's a category, heavy duty. You're willing to take upon yourself some more weight, specifically 10 ounces. By way of reference, and like I've said a lot before, my favorite all-around multi-tool, as I dig through the junk here in the bin, this one, Leatherman S2 Juice, man. I love this one. But this is a light-duty multi-tool, right? Does not have the capabilities of this. Okay, again, I'm kind of bleeding over into multi-tool continuum. We've talked about that already. But along with a heavy-duty multi-tool, you're going to get, and I'm jumping ahead in tool review, some wicked pliers, man. Yeah, these pliers rock. They're streamlined. You can see that they're very profiled in as much they're trying to get it into confined places. Okay, I compared them against Swiss Tool pliers in that review, and just by way of reference, real quick, this is what we looked at. It was kind of a hybrid sort of pliers. Wasn't as sharp or precise. I told you then that these cut better with nails and stuff, proven by me. Also, I liked the thinner profile of the ST300's plier head just a little bit better, and I will stick to that. I love the pliers, and the tool is really built around these, the plier head, okay, because it is very purposeful, strong in function. And then you have those very cool, and I think very much standard setting, replaceable cutter heads made out of 154 CM steel. I think they say in the Leatherman literature that you could actually take them out and sharpen them with a file. The file being the one that's contained in the MT. I think that would be kind of a stretch. How are you going to hold these things to sharpen them and maintain that very consistent bevel? I guess you could, but I think it'd be really tough. Heavy duty multi-tool, along with that, good plier head. The rest of the tool set is pretty standard, as we'll see here in a second. Stainless steel throughout. I have two versions here to show you. The one you're looking at here is a standard satin finish stainless steel Super Tool 300. This is a model number 831102. Comes with a leather sheath. We'll show you that carry case in here in just a little bit. This one back here, the blackened version, has a crimper on the front portion of the plier head, and the model number there is 831105, and it comes with a very cool, previously shown to you in another review, that Swiss Tool nylon sheath. We'll get to that in a second. Tough multi-tools, all steel. This is a variation from what for a long time was the very heavy duty, or considered to be the heaviest duty multi-tool in the Leatherman lineup. Hope I didn't get those details wrong. I think that's right. And that's a Leatherman core. it had Zytel liners nested into some steel handles, as you can see here. Perfect example one here on loan in T&P for the review. I think I've heard some complaints about that. I don't know if I heard breakages, but I think a lot of guys just didn't dig it. Traditional guys I know pretty much don't like that. They want steel. And so back in 2009, the Super Tool 300 came out. And sure enough, it's all steel. There's no Zytel in it. I personally don't think it's any stronger than the core, handle-wise. I just don't. But it doesn't add any weight, and I don't really see what the advantage to the core was, because it's the same weight. Both of these are about 10.5 ounces, 10.2 to be exact. For this one, the core, I think, is actually just a little bit more. So you might as well just make it 100% steel. Not a big deal for that. Now, my understanding is the Super Tool lineup in Leatherman has been around for a while. Back in 1994, the original Super Tool was introduced, and it functioned was sold until about 2001. Then the Super Tool 200 came out in 2001 and was sold to 2005, at which time my understanding is the core, the Zytel one I just showed you, nested Zytel I should say, was out there for a while, still being sold. I still think this is a great multi-tool, don't get me wrong. But the plier head on the core versus the Super Tool 300, this one, any day. Those replaceable cutters are a huge advantage in the ST300, I say. Because this is a very high wear area, as we've talked about before. So materials, all stainless steel. The the blades themselves, 420 HC. Okay, which is, in my opinion, an adequate steel for everyday type stuff as long as it's heat treated properly. I have not hard used these blades, so I can't really speak to how durable the edge holding capability is on them so much. But, would I like to have 154 cm? You bet I would. Kind of like the Charge TTI series. You ain't going to get it with the ST, 300. Not yet. Might change with future lineups. Now on to tool review of this. And let me say this first, and this will kind of get into design elegance, maybe that, talking point, access, and comfort. By the way, I'm always updating these. I might change them around, so you may not see totally consistent talking points, from one review to another. Just depends on what I'm trying to convey. First off, but in contrast to the Swiss tool, you cannot access the knife blades from the exterior. You're going to have to open up the tool to do it. Some guys may have a problem with that. Like I said in Continuum, dudes, it just depends which tool you're going to access most frequently. If it's a plier head, you may not like that. You might want a faster deploying Gerber, although I have yet to see a plier head that effective on a Gerber so far. But when you open the tool up, then you can access the blades. First up, sheep's foot blade, serrated variety. Is it a rescue cutter? Yeah, kind of. It's sheep's foot shape, so it can go and function as a belt cutter without injuring the person. But it's not quick accessible, kind of like the Charge CTI. And, you might make a case that it's that way for the Swiss Tool RS, since those are accessed from the exterior, right? Like we showed in that review. No problem. Can opener, very standard can opener, by the way. And like I mentioned in the Swiss Tool review, these are clumping tools. See how they kind of all come out together? At least, the drivers. And some guys will like that, some won't. The way we get around that is we individually washer them, or in the case of the Swiss Tool, individual spring sets, which keeps the tool retained while the other one comes out. There's your can opener. There's your long shank Phillips screwdriver. Dig that. That's very cool. And there's your long shank hollow ground, and a lot of guys dig that about the Super Tool, that it's hollow ground and it's not polished, unlike the Swiss Tool drivers like we mentioned in that review. And that's a small driver, 1/8 inch 3mm. Very handy. Probably your most used, it depends on who you are. I was going to say your most used flat blade screwdriver. Okay, and then on to this portion here. There's your saw. That's a saw that farmer used, I guess. Saw that horn off that cow. That's hilarious. I thought that was a good story to post. Okay, do you see anything, and we haven't got to the other side yet, but I'll just say this now. Do you see anything lacking in the Super Tool? Okay, keep that in mind while I continue on. Then there's the main blade, again 420 HC steel, adequate. Hollow ground. This one didn't come like super sharp. I touched it up on a ceramic rod, and now it's razor sharp pretty much. Decent blade. You know, do I have issues with the blade shape? To be honest, yeah, I do kind of. I like the blade shape, like I've shown you many times before of the Charge TTI and the older TI series. Here's the Duracoated one. You guys have seen this before. It's nothing new. I sure love that color though. Wicked. That's a cool blade shape. Nice belly, nice tip. Accessed from the exterior of the tool, like I've said many times before, and one-handed. Big advantage. You're not going to get that with ST300. Sorry, just ain't. Some guys will care, some won't care at all. There's your file. There's the wood version, and then on the other side, the metal, and you can groove with it because they have serrations on the bottom, just like the Swiss tools. No surprise there. Very effective, I hear. Haven't used the ST's file yet. Okay, and then on this side, we get to more drivers. Nothing cosmic here, dudes. There's your large, hollow ground, relatively long shank, flat-bladed driver. That's actually that's a 5/16 inch one, corresponding to 8 millimeters. And there is, excuse me, your 7/32 inch 6 millimeter. And there's your awl right there with the thread loop in it. That's pretty cool. Very useful. I love the awl. You know, for drilling, making holes, it's a very utilitarian thing to have in your MT. I think a heavy-duty MT should definitely have it. ST300 doesn't disappoint us. There's your lanyard loop there. If you want to extract that, tie a lanyard onto it, you can flip that out, and there you have it. That's nice. Okay, back to my question. Do you see anything missing? Scissors. Scissors are missing. Okay, and let me stay with that subject. That to me is kind of a glaring omission on the Super Tool 300. I would definitely love to have scissors for a 10.5 ounce ST or MT. I mean, we really should have that. I think there's enough handle space in there if they could fit it in, you know. The Charge does it. We should have scissors here. Now, a lot of guys will say, well, I never use scissors. Again, we get back to what I've said in multi-tool continuum. It just depends on who you are and what your tool sets are that you value, and everybody's different. For me, I kind of like to have them for medical purposes, snipping off, you know, I don't want to be graphic, but flesh and stuff. I've used them that way. Scissors are nice to have. Look at that black one. Isn't that cool looking? I like that too. It's got a crimper on the forward head. It's a good time to look in detail to the ST300 head. You know, crimper up here. There's your hardwire cutter. I talked about this in the Swiss tool review. Let me use the Kershaw Skyline as a pointer just because it's my EDC blade today. Hardwire cutter here, standard wire cutter here. Another hardwire cutter here is my understanding. That little tiny, you know, hole there, and then another base crimper here. Actually, let me make sure I'm not telling you wrong. I think, yeah, actually, that's a crimper right here. And I'm sorry if I'm getting the details wrong. Like I said here too, dudes, and just keeping it real with you, this opens up a lot wider than the Swiss tool. That was a disadvantage on the plier head of that Swiss tool RS. You can see the differences of how they open. Wider jaws, and also it will accommodate bigger nails here. And like I showed you, the Super Tool 300 cutting through that big old 16 penny nail. Yeah, you got to bear down on it, but it will cut through, and it has impressive performance for what it is. Pretty simple tool selection though. Will it, you know, stack up against competitors like the Swiss tool? Well, like I said in the review, and the only reason I roll this in is because I don't want to have to make you go watch that review, is the Swiss tool had some really cool things that this one doesn't, and it's the same weight. For one, it had the micro screwdriver, that one right there. Okay, on the other side, oh, I love that. This, you know, the Swiss Army can opener, again with another flat-bladed driver on it. The chisel, multi-purpose chisel, you know, flat-bladed drivers everywhere. I think the Swiss tool actually has a little bit more utility in it than the Super Tool 300. Just keeping it real. Just keeping it real. You know, you get into second type of cool, the polish, the finish, guys will like that. I don't know. Plier head though, ST300, in my opinion, and that's all it is, my opinion, kind of wins out in the toughness and strength department and durability, perhaps, since it's a replaceable cutter head on that. Huge. Comfort also, the ST300 kind of does shine a little bit. Why? Because when you do deploy, even though it's not as fast or maybe as convenient, deploy, let's take that sheep's foot blade, close up the tool for extended cutting. We have rounded surfaces for holding the MT with. Okay, that's more comfort. Swiss tool lack that, and I'm just picking on the Swiss tool, and actually I'm picking on the ST300. You know, I don't play favorites. I just tell you what the realities are of each thing I review. So a little bit more comfort, well-rounded throughout, pretty ergonomic throughout. That's how I look at the Swiss Tool 300. I'm sorry, the Super Tool 300. By the way, there's a ruler. I always forget to mention that. That's a 9-inch ruler, 22 centimeters, and you'll flatten that out as shown in the instructions to measure stuff, whatever. Great comfort throughout though. Variations, you're pretty much looking at it right there. Black, silver. Which one do I prefer? I like them both. But I would probably go with the blackened, not just because it's cooler looking and it's more tactical. You know, nothing fancy with this tactical stuff. Yeah, I like that. That's cool. A little bit more special. But the big thing is the blackened version comes with a very much improved sheath, in my opinion. Previously shown to you in the other reviews. This one right here, MOLLE capable on the back, heavy duty Velcro, and yet you guys know I will critique Velcro, but there's a lot of it and it's very heavy duty here. You can replace it if you have to. Big old drainage hole, super high quality webbing, and that is an awesome multi-tool sheath. The best I've seen, like I've said before, comes with the black one, model 831105. The silver one, or the satin finished one, has kind of a leather sheath that I'm not super impressed with. By the way, if you haven't noticed, we're jumping on to carry cases. It's very stiff, has a back pocket. I'm not sure why you would need that with a Super Tool 300 since it doesn't take removable bits, unless I'm missing something. Kind of basic. You know, the attachment is my biggest beef. For a normal belt, a leather belt you're carrying, you'll have no problems. Military operators, you won't dig it so much. This is not a good sheath for you. I would just pitch it and get something else. Kind of like this Gerber sheath that I bought at Military Clothing on base, you know. That's a sweet sheath right there. And carrying the Nut and Fancy Duracoated Charge TI. Okay, so you can find that and probably fit this, the Super Tool will fit right in there. So go with the black because it has a better sheath, definitely. Variations, again, that's what you're looking at. Quality and feel for this multi-tool is excellent. Okay, I've heard some complaints that there's been some grinding, maybe casting problems on the ST300 when it first came out and guys were having issues with it. I don't detect any on these two examples I have. I don't. And, you know, if there's a little bit of an overrun, if it's not exactly perfect, honestly, I don't care. As long as it's not a glaring problem. Because this is a tool to me, yeah, I want it to look cool. I want the quality to be high. And I do appreciate that because that kind of gets into second type of cool, but I haven't noticed it. I have noticed that my Leathermans throughout the years have rocked. They're tough, they're durable, they just last. I still think they make one of the best, not the best, but one of the best multi-tools out there. There's so many good ones nowadays, it's hard to say who wins the battle. You know, the arms race of the multi-tool, like I said, an MT Continuum. Everything locks up tight. The pliers don't fold on you. Like as I extend them, you know, I don't want this to be happening. I'm going to have to apply some force to show you. But some multi-tools, the handles will start collapsing on you as you use your plier set. I don't see that with the ST300 at all. The lock is easy to use. You know, is it to the level maybe of the Swiss tool again? I don't know, probably not. Probably not the same quality and that really precision lockup and deployment of all the tools in the Swiss tool. You don't have that with the Leatherman, not so much. But it's a tool, and it works just fine, I think. I don't have issues with it at all. All throughout, decent. Value. Initially, I think when I did my Swiss tool review, I thought the ST300 was more expensive than it has turned out to be. Okay, and again, the Swiss tool, great high value, heavy duty, EMT, setting the value benchmark in a lot of ways because of what you get. The durability, the tool set, everything I talked about in the review. ST300, also awesome. You do lack some of those tools that I talked about, right? The ones that we just discussed. And also you don't have scissors. To me, a glaring omission. However, not as expensive as I thought. Currently, and this is going to be just a snapshot in time, dudes, okay? Subject to change, and things always change. But right now at, yourcornerstore.com, I'm sorry, European and my overseas viewers, man, I wish you could order from them. It really bugs me that I don't have a good, nice store for you. But if you live in the United States, yourcornerstore.com, Mike Cassidy there, selling this one. I'm not supposed to tell you because it's secret. $60. Actually, that's the black one. $60 for the good sheath. This one, $52 for the satin version and the cheesy, overly stiff leather sheath. Okay? Both of those are in the same exact ballpark as the Victorinox Swiss tool. So, I already know what you guys are saying. Which one should I buy? Swiss tool or this ST300? I don't know. They're both great Swiss tool. They're both great heavy-duty multi-tools. They offer great value for what they are. If you take care of them and don't overly abuse them, and to me, I think abuse would be like, salt water, or, just not, not spraying it with oil once in a while. I like using rim oil, incidentally. I think they're going to last your lifetime. Both of them are outstanding. The Swiss tool, and I hate to just keep comparing these two together. It's just because in the time continuum, what's going on here in the project, they're next to each other. I can't say. I really can't. I don't know. Is the plier head that important to you? Crimping functions, heavy duty wire cutting. If it is, then I would go with an ST300 over a Swiss tool. And my Swiss tool guys will be going, well, I cut heavy wire with mine all the time. I don't have a problem with it at all. I dig that, man. I know. And the variances I'm talking about are probably, pretty minute. But that's just a data point for you. I like the extra tools on there, though. But the Swiss tool 300, the Super Tool 300 is a winner in pretty much most respects. Value, durability, build quality, comfort in use. No, it's not the fastest deploying tool set out there. You know that. Some guys may not like the clumping, but the sheath, at least with the black version, awesome. Just awesome. Highly recommended. Another heavy-duty multi-tool option for you TMPers out there and folks that may find this review. Nut and Fancy, signing off. Thanks. See ya.